I want to thank everyone for actually coming and participating in this webinar. I'm going to give you some information, and then I'll be following up with you with some free tools that I'll be able to provide from AIS. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background regarding my background so that you understand where I'm coming from when it comes to how we're using and implementing AI in our business and how we're going to be able to be using it for some of our customers as well. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at AIS. I've been here for a little over 8 years. Marketers, we all received a gift about 3 years ago. And when I say it's a gift, is that when we started accessing AI and the tools that are coming with the large language models, and I may refer to them as LLMs or chatbots, which we all know as ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or Grok even, but those are the major ones. But this gift that we were given as marketers was something that we had an advantage over everyone else that was using it. Of course, everybody started using AI for rewriting your emails, for maybe asking questions like we did with Google. But as marketers, we were actually able to use it for strategy, for using it for content. And when I say content, not only for writing content, but also for writing scripts for our videos, developing strategy. So this gift was something that we have all been applying as marketers and taking it to the next level. So today we're going to talk about the year of the agent, because as we're getting into 2026, this is going to be a very important year when it comes to using AI. We see the landscape's changing and it's moving very fast. And it's something that we all need to sort of be aware of, or we also need to just have an idea of what agentic AI and what agents can bring for us. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on. I'm going to emphasize the key things that you should be doing right now and what type of things your team should be using in order to speed up how we use AI, and also how we can start applying it for the future, and that's using automating our workflows and building agents. I'll also speak about how fast the landscape is changing, because as I was preparing for this webinar this weekend and writing out, I wanted to give you the freshest amount of data. There were a couple things that changed as I got to work on Monday morning. So you'll see that how fast this is moving, and that's why we need to stay up to date. And then I'm going to provide to you maybe some sort of recommendations when it comes to leadership and how we should mandate inside our business and how we can promote AI within our business safely and securely. Now, let's look at this landscape shift. And when I say landscape shift, the old way of doing business was, if we're still working this way, we need to begin to adapt, because the old way was we were using Chrome, we used ChatGPT, we have all these documents, we are copying and pasting and doing everything manually. But the new way is using the tools that they're providing now, where we can access not only AI to use the applications we have. There's Copilot from Microsoft, which is actually a ChatGPT dressed up so that it can be used with all of the Microsoft applications. Then there are cross-app execution that you can use when it comes to agent mode, and many of the LLMs or chatbots you can use now and start using with your applications. And then there's also things where you can be doing things much more efficiently, and we can also build things, and that's building images or building videos, or taking those workflows. And today, if you're still working with it the old way, AI now has become to that, or coming to that PhD level, where it can now be seen as not only as a peer, but also somebody that you can collaborate with. But you need to know how to do that. So before we get going into this and diving a little bit deeper, I want to find out a little bit about where everyone on this call is and where you are when it comes to AI. So here's the first poll that we have, and we're going to be loading it up. And what we're going to be doing is asking you just to be honest with me and tell me, where are you and what tools are you using today when it comes to the different LLMs or the different AI chatbots? Go ahead and select one or more here and tell me what you're using. Let's see what the audience says. As always, yes, I think ChatGPT is a leader. It's good to see that people are using Gemini and Claude. Maybe a few people are using Grok. A few people are using Copilot. Copilot's now being a mandate for many of the large enterprise corporations because how secure it is, and we are all using Microsoft products, especially in the small to medium-sized business world. Few of you are using DeepSeek and Manus, great. And then maybe it looks like one or two are using it. When it comes to, it looks like one is using it just for one tool for everything. Great. All right. So in the last 12 months, there's been an attention war. And when I say attention war is we've got, when you look at the top four, which are OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, Anthropic's Claude, and then Grok's built by X. And you look at these tools, and there's a couple on the outside, which you had in the survey, DeepSeek, Manus, and also Qwen that are out there coming from the Chinese side. Really, the winner is us. Because when you look at these, they're all competing for our attention. And so I'd say probably most of the year last year, ChatGPT was leading everything. And then when Gemini 3 Pro came out, what it did was it changed that landscape because the strategy that Google is doing is they have the giant workspace for you to be working on in AI using AI Studio or their Google Workspace. And then they've wrapped all these other tools like Nano Banana and Pomeli and all these other outside products that you can wrap around and use their tools. So you're going to see this as we go. But again, if we're looking at how we use the tools, I would not say that it's good for us to just take one and use it. We should be experimenting and using all of them because, again, we win because they keep competing against each other in order to capture either our wallets or at least our interest. And they're pretty cheap when it comes to, most of them are about $20 a month when it comes to it. So it's a lot like Netflix pricing. Okay, let's talk about what these models are. And I'm going to talk just about the top four right now because, and that's the majority of what people are using. So we've got GPT 5.2 that's come out. We have Gemini 3 Pro, Claude 4.5, Opus, and also Sonnet 4.5. And then we have Grok 4.1. And these are sort of the categories of how they line up. When it comes to strategy and logic, GPT-5 or ChatGPT is really good use for it. When it comes to deep research, Gemini 3 Pro probably beats everyone else. And if you're using the new product or their new feature, or I've been using Notebook LM for a while, but when they brought out Gemini 3 Pro last year, and it actually supercharged what Notebook LM could do. And we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. On the coding side, Claude 4.5 is just amazing as for coding. And then when it all comes back down to cost efficiency and really a cheap product, but a really strong product, it goes into taking and using Grok 4.1, which is Elon Musk's product. Now, I put in here in this chart a context window. And the reason for doing that is because I want to talk to you about why this is important. Okay. So ChatGPT 5.2 has about 400,000, not 4 million as it says in this chart, but it's about 400,000. We've got Gemini Pros at 1 million. When it comes to Claude, it goes between 200,000 and 1 million. And then Grok goes up to 2 million tokens. Now, why is this important? Well, let me tell you. When you look at how these products work, and you may have had this issue, you may be using it, you may have a long thread and you've been chatting with it for a while, and then all of a sudden it starts making mistakes, or it starts hallucinating more, or it's not operating the way that it was working when you first started chatting with it on this chat thread. And the reason for that is because when it gets to about halfway through the context window, so let's say Gemini with 1 million tokens in its context window, when it gets to about 500,000, and that would be, hey, I'm loading a document in or a few documents in, or I want it to look at tables, or I want it to go out and search online for me. Any of those things is going to use the tokens. And so when it gets to about half the limit of those tokens, it starts to degrade. And that's what's called context rot. And a lot of people just don't know that. And a lot of people just say, well, it's not working for me. Well, that's because you have been using it for a while in that thread, and you need to either refresh and go to a new thread, take some of the information and summarize that and put it into a new thread, or you've got to do something else because it's not going to give you the response that you need. So this is an inherent problem all the way across all of the different LLMs. And I'm sure everyone's seen this. I see it all the time now that I'm programming and using it more for building agents. So I see this happening inherently when it comes to it. Now, if this is a problem, and we're seeing this as a problem, then how is this going to be fixed? Well, remember when I talked to you about when I started building this presentation this weekend and I wanted to make sure it was fresh data? Well, on Monday, I got in the office and one of my sources came out and told me that a couple of researchers from MIT have figured out a way to reduce or eliminate context rot. And I went, wow, great. How are we going to get access to this? Well, what they did is they came up with a way, because the way it works today is when you start getting to that halfway point when it comes to the tokens within using a chatbot, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, or Claude, what happens is while it's starting to degrade, what it does is it uses something called lossy compression. And it takes the information. Well, Claude uses lossy compression. I'm not sure what the other ones use, but they all use some type of compression, or they do some way of taking the historical data and remember what you've said already. There's another inherent problem you may notice is when you're talking to it and you say, hey, I told you at the very beginning, this is what I wanted to do. And now you don't remember that. Why don't you remember it? Well, it's compressing, or they're trying to keep the information stored in it. And since memory is so expensive that you really don't have very much memory in any of these products, because that's something hardware based, and everybody that's out there using it needs to have that, would like to have that memory. So today, how they're working with it is they're using compression to do that, and they're trying to take the historical data. When they do that, they're not getting all of the information that you've had in that chat or all the important information. They're just compressing the whole thing and trying to pull out the information that they need. Now, what these researchers did at MIT is they figured a way that used something called recursive language models. And you don't have to remember what this is, but what's going to happen is over the next 6 months to a year, we're going to see this RLM be adapted into our chatbots. So we're not going to have the context rot that we're seeing today. So that's a good thing, but it's showing how quickly the landscape's changing and the problems that they're facing with these products, because we're having those issues with it, and everyone that's trying to solve problems are having issues with it. Now that I've talked to you about that, I want to tell you a little bit about something that everybody should be learning and mastering. And if you haven't mastered this by now, you need to, okay? And I'm a very big proponent of this. I've taught this model of how to use ChatGPT and how to prompt for it correctly. And I'll tell you, probably over 1,000 people that have been listening to podcasts of mine or webinars, or even people that I've taught in place, I'll tell you, probably only the top 1% are still practicing it. Okay. But you need to know how to do this. So let's take ChatGPT, since the majority of you use ChatGPT. You need to put it in these stages in order for it effectively to get a great output. There's a problem with all of the large language models, and it's a problem that it's the results that we get from it. And it's an inherent issue with all of them. And that is, you put something into it, it's going to give you something out. The ChatGPT, just like in Gemini, all of them, they want to please you. So in order to do that, they're going to give you whatever the result out of it. So let's say you take and you just put something into it and it quickly puts something back out to it. Now you might look at it and say, wow, that's great. That's a great response. I know what I'm doing when it comes to prompting. But that, until you've created a prompt and put it in the right form in order for the ChatGPT to use, you really haven't experienced what you can really get out of it. So this is something not just from me. This is something that I look at when it comes to all of the new chat models when they come out. And this is the best way to work with ChatGPT. First of all, you need to create a role. Second of all, and in that role, so you can say, hey, I want you to be a copywriter. Hey, I want you to be a marketing peer. Hey, I want you to be a market research analyst, or I want you to be an HR recruiter. Any of those things are great for a role, but you need to put specificity and context into that. So when you're telling it to be a role, and I'll give you an example. If I was going to have it write something for me, an article for me, what I would do it is tell it like this. I want you to be an expert business writer. And I want you to be in the top 0.1% in your field. In doing so, I want you to act as an enterprise business writer that's worked at our organization for years, knows the industry really well, and their last articles had engagement or traffic, created traffic coming to our website in increase of 300%. Now I've created a role that has enough specificity and context in it that it can act upon that. If you just said I wanted to be a copywriter, it's going to be a copywriter. But unless you put all that specificity and context behind it, then it's going to work better for you. Now, let's talk about context. You need to provide everything that you want to do about it. You wouldn't and I'll give you an example. You wouldn't start a new employee at your company and just give them a laptop and say, go to work. I don't care how skilled they are. They don't know enough about your company, and they don't know how you talk about things. They don't know about your products and services. They don't know all of those things. So you need to provide that context. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to do this in a few minutes. Now, then you create the task. What do you want it to do? What does success look like? If you tell it and provide it that task and you give it all the specificity it needs about what you need and what type of that output it is, then you're going to get that really great result out of it. Then you provide it the tone. Tell it about what you want and how you want it to answer to you. You can also tell it, if whatever that tone is, if you're going to be providing it to somebody outside your organization, who that audience is. That's really important too. Now, the last point, and it's probably the most important point, because if you didn't put all the detail in that it needed, you need it to say, ask me any clarifying questions. This is quote, ask me any clarifying questions to ensure you successfully complete this task with 100% accuracy. By putting that in, and I put it in quotes on this slide, by putting that information in, if you didn't follow back or you didn't follow through and provide a really good contextual role, or provide the context or a real specific role, or you didn't define the task well enough, or didn't provide the tone, it's going to ask you those questions before it gives you a response. So that's why it's the most important. And I'll tell you, if you do this, you're going to learn so much and see what kind of great output it has. Some of my best prompts probably are 2 or 3 pages long, because I have it I'll have it or tell it a lot of things that I want. I tell it that I want it to be honest with me. I tell it I don't want it to BS or provide any, I want it to be a devil's advocate. I want it to check its work. I want it to check to see what its greatest three assumptions are from what I've told it, and then go reevaluate those and ask me any clarifying questions. I also tell it what words to use or what not to use. I'm telling it all of these things because I know sometimes it's either I don't want it to hallucinate because it can, but I also want it to provide it back all the, I want it to provide a result that I'm going to be really proud of, and I want it to do it the first time. All right. Now I told you about um, changes and things, and um, I again finished this presentation this weekend on Sunday. Came to the office on Monday morning. Actually, came to the office today, and Google for Gemini, they released how their prompting framework and the best way to do it for there. So there's a difference in how you work with each of the LLMs. You can't take this prompt that this prompt structure and take it. It'll work pretty good when it comes to the other LLMs, but you have to learn how to prompt for each one of them. Now, that's going to take a lot of time if you wanted to find out. I mean, Google puts out a white paper, so does OpenAI, so does Anthropic, and they put out white papers on how to prompt correctly for their products or their tools. But you don't have to know those today. You can actually have those summarized, or you can tell it, hey, give me the best way to prompt for you. Or when you get done here, and I have everyone's email, I'm going to provide you a tool that I built, and that is I created a GPT, and I'm also creating a gem, which I'll have done probably next week. And basically, what those are is tools to help you master prompting. You tell it what the task is, and it's going to ask you every question that it needs in order to write that prompt. And at the same time, it's going to show you what a good prompt looks like. So again, some sort of takeaways here. You got to know the framework. You got to understand that they're different for each of the different LLMs or the different chatbots. And you also need to understand that how to use these when it comes to using them with each of the different chatbots. And stay up to date on it, because if they come out with a new model, it's going to come up and the prompting is probably going to change. I know that they're going to try to make it easier, but that's the way it is. All right, now let's look at how we could use this in a practical way for our business. And I don't know how many of you have done this before, but this is some of the things that I'm doing right now. I created a dossier of our whole management team. And I also created, and built into that dossier, I created a dossier on our organization. Why? Because I want to be able to input that into something that I'm doing work with when it comes to working with any of the LLMs. I also created a product dossier for each of our products so that I have that. I created also something, an interview for each of our sales staff so they could put their role in so that they can talk to the AI chatbot and it gets to know what their role is and it understands how they work. And then I also created something for customer research when it comes to building a dossier on other organizations. Now, why did I do all this? Because again, if we have all this context we can put in when it comes to something that we're going to do, we get a high quality output. Now, I'm also looking at, and we just worked with our CRM, and that is we're going to take that and provide that to the dossier for customers. So when one of our salespeople goes into our CRM and they want to look up a prospect or a customer, they immediately have one of these dossiers that comes from an AI chatbot. And what it does, it talks about who the company is, who the key players are and the executives are, any of the email addresses that they have that are out there, and what their news items are, or what's happening with their organization. It also then compares it against our products and services, and it comes back and it gives them also a sample LinkedIn article that they, or a LinkedIn post that they could do in a reach out to connect with any of these prospects. It also provides voice scripts and emails that they could write in order, and how that works and maps out to our products and services. So it creates a complete dossier, but you have to provide all of this context going in. So let's talk about paradigm shift of legacy tools. Here's some things that you may see or you may not see what's coming. All right. And I'm going to move this a little bit quicker because what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about each one of these things. I'm going to talk about note takers, stock photography, CRMs, and then a help desk. Let's talk about the note takers. A lot of people are using Otter, Fireflies, Fathom. I just built a custom GPT that does this, and I'll probably be building a Google Gem to do this as well. But I have a great way of taking a transcript from any of the calls. Like right now, we're recording this call. I'll be able to take a transcript, put this in, and what it does is it takes the transcript. It has everybody's labeled on who spoke, and immediately gives me back a not only summary, and I can either tell it to give me a brief summary, or I can have it give me a detailed summary. And then it also gives me all the action items in a quick chart. And that's all I really need. There's a lot of things that these other products are using, but again, they haven't seen this yet. And these products are going to either have to move to an AI tool that's acts more like a CRM, or they're going to be overwritten because ChatGPT figured out a way that you could do this yourself and you don't have to pay for one of these. So again, this is where AI is moving and changing the landscape. So you don't really need these products because you could just build it for yourself. Stock photography, really interesting here. Now we've got tools like Midjourney and Nano Banana, and we've got Firefly from Adobe. We've got all of these image tools, Leonardo. We've got all these image tools out there, and you can take any image that you see online. So if you need an image, and you can think up what you want that image to look like, and you put it into Google search, or you put it into Perplexity, and you ask it to come in and give you a list of images that are like this, and you pick one of those, you can take that, drop it into Google Gemini, and have it build the JSON code for that image. And now you've got the structure of what that image is. And now you can drop it back into and have it build that same or similar image, and it will build it using Nano Banana. So you really don't need a stock photography service anymore. It's AI is taking out this type of business. What's next? Help desk and ticketing systems. This drawing right here is even archaic, but this is where you can use AI to take support tickets, and it can actually take and analyze the ticket, troubleshoot it, and then apply a solution, and then verify that solution, and then provide that information back out to whoever that customer is. Now, if you apply it to the AI voice tools that are out there, this can actually be integrated into a ticketing system so that can actually listen to the call, listen to what the person, their needs are on a low level basis right now. It can actually solve the problem for that customer all by voice. And you can put the ticket into the system and put it in whatever your ticketing system is. So another thing, here's where AI is going to take and overrun this part of the industry. Lastly, that I have here, we all have CRMs that we work out of. We have sales teams that work out of them. Think about this. The future is AI going to be following around our salespeople, whether they're on the phone, they're doing Teams calls like this, or they're going to be doing face-to-face meetings. But it's going to be listening to all of that information. It's going to be able to capture who they're talking to. It'll be able to capture all of their information. It'll be able to look it up online, or it'll capture the information that's on there while it's processing that information. It'll be able to see how your products align. It'll also be able to coach our salespeople that are doing. It's going to be able to put all this information into a vector database. So why would you need a CRM? Well, today we need a CRM because we're not doing these things today, but I'm telling you, it's coming, and it's coming very fast, where you're not going to need it. Companies like Salesforce and HubSpot, they're working like crazy right now in adopting AI so that they can provide that extra value of using AI. But I see it as, in the future, it's going to be a voice activated, or it's going to be AI that's going to be able to do these things and just throw it into a database where you'll have access to it. And you'll be using something like what's called an MCP, or a multi-context protocol server, where you can access this information on a regular basis. That's where AI is taking legacy products, or what we're calling our current products and legacy products, and where the future is going. This is also sort of something that we should be thinking about when it comes to AI, and that is how we treat AI. We should be treating AI as an executive. And if you're using sort of those models the model that I taught you about how to provide enough context, how to provide enough information into it so you get these great responses out, you can be treating this as that collaborator or that executive part of your team. Now, there's a number of things you have to be careful about. You got to make sure you're protecting your information and your data. So it's really important, even though I said when I started out this webinar and I was talking about how we were given a gift, marketing was given a gift to take this. Marketing should be taking the lead in your organization in order to help others in your organization embed AI into the culture of your business. But it's also going to be important for your technical resources, your IT people, to make sure that you're being safe with it. Not putting handcuffs on you, but making sure that your data is safe and allowing you to freely use that data and use the tools or the chatbots so that you can actually do better and work smarter. Let me give you an example of how automated workflows and agents work. And so I'm going to shift this a little bit more now. So when I talk about this year being the year of the agent, I saw this coming last year and I started working and learning how to build an agent. Now, I'm not a technical person, never was a coder, didn't ever want to write code. Now I'm finding that building agents is like maybe the time as a kid I didn't get to build Legos because I think it was something we had Lincoln Logs when I was a kid. That shows my age. We didn't have Legos yet when I was that age where our kids get to grow up with that. But I want to tell you about how the agents are much like building Legos today, but they need a lot of experience and business knowledge for them to work. Let me give you an example of this case study of what I did to automate a workflow. I went to one of our executives and I asked him, take me through the process of how long it takes, how you write a LinkedIn post, okay? And he said, well, first, Kevin, I go out and I try to research online and find something that I think my audience will resonate with my audience. And he spends probably 10 to 20 minutes, maybe 10 or 15 minutes going out and finding that great article that he wants to write about. Then he reads the article, takes another 5 minutes to read the article. Then he figures out what he wants to say to his audience. Now, we all know that LinkedIn is a place where our customers and our prospects are all there. So we should be using this on a daily basis, at least be posting 2 or 3 times a week. Not only your salespeople, but as executives in your organization should be doing this because you want to establish yourselves as an authority. Okay. Now, after he's read the article, or he or she's read the article, and then after they have figured out what they want to say, they write the post, they have the link, and then they go back and do a grammar check to make sure it's written right, and then they can post it. Now, this all took about 40 minutes. So what I did was I created a workflow automation, and what I did was broke down each of those steps, and then I took and figured out how I could use AI to do this. And basically what we did was we created something that you can take any article you find online. So you have to still do some research. But again, you can use AI tools now like ChatGPT and use their tasks in order for it to feed you things that you are interested in learning or any type of topics that you want to learn about. And they can send those articles to you. Once you find something that you have, you can now take something, and what we did is we created an email address in Gmail, and all you do is you send that link to that email address, and within 30 seconds to a minute, it processes it, It writes it in your voice because we created a style guide based on each of the people that are using, each of the staff members in our organization. We created an individual style guide the AI tool can use. It rewrites and writes that post that they can have in LinkedIn. It puts the emojis in. It puts the hashtags in. It also puts the link to the article in. And now they get back in their email within a minute. They get back to them a completed 3 different ways that they could write this post, plus 3 different subjects that they could use that are more disruptive. And now they can just copy and paste it into their LinkedIn and they're done. Now, something that would have taken 40 minutes or longer to do can now be done in 2 minutes. And this now frees up our staff so that they are using their time more effectively and not having to post on LinkedIn on a regular basis, but all they have to do is find those ideas in order to do that. Let's talk about how these agents and how I'm using them today. Because like I said, I'm not a programmer, never was a programmer, didn't want to be a programmer. But if you're building the things that you can use AI effectively to do, it makes it very easy for you to become a programmer or developer or an agent builder, or to automate workflows. And in doing so, you can take an idea, you can take and build either within ChatGPT or Gemini or even Claude, and you can build something that's a tool like a GPT or a Gem. And what you can do is have it ask one of your staff members all the different things that they do in their job. What are the tools? What are the steps that it takes for maybe one of their tasks that they do over and over again? Then you can ask them, have it ask for you to say, what is it? What applications are they using outside of that? Then what you can do is have it build a product requirement document. And in doing so, you now have all the documentation of that workflow that they're doing. You have the applications that they're using. And now you can take it and you can have it. Gemini does this really well. So does Claude. They write something called JSON code. Now, I don't want to get technical here, but JSON code is just something that is easy for agents and software to be used in order to develop code better or develop applications. Okay, that's all you really need to know about it. You don't need to know how to write it. You don't need to know everything about it. All you need to know is that it's called JSON, JSON. So you've taken an idea, you've taken and you've interviewed a person at your company or had AI do the interview. It's created a product requirements document. It then converts it into JSON code. And now I can take that JSON code and I can immediately import it into something like N8N or Relay or Zapier. And I can now have it build an agent because it's got the code in order to build it and it knows what the applications are. One other thing, when you're doing the product requirements document, if there's any decision making or any review that the human's doing or one of your staff members is doing, you need to put that information in there because you're going to be wanting to build that into the product requirements document and the JSON code in order for you to build it. Then all you have to do is debug it. Okay, now you're saying, oh crap, Keven, you want me to debug something? How am I going to do that? Well, today you can use AI in order to debug just about anything. And I'm going to show you how easy that is in just a minute. This time, we're all going to do a quick survey. And this is poll number 2. So beyond just chatting, what is the current highest level of AI maturity within your organization? Select one that best applies. And so either exploration, shadow AI, strategic leadership, operational education, data grounding, or agentic workflows. Looks like we're still exploring. We have some staff members using AI. And we've got strategic leadership, which is great. All great stuff. Good. And a few of us are also building agentic workflows, which is great. Fantastic. All right, thank you. Now, let's go to the next part of this. And that is, I want to tell you a few do's and don'ts when it comes to the strategy behind in your organization. So it's really important that you have somebody that is that top cheerleader for AI in your organization. and not just a cheerleader, but is staying on top of what's happening in the AI environment because it's moving so fast. And I'm not saying that this really needs to reside in IT or with your chief technical officer. Um, they really want to be the ones that you want to make sure that and protect your data. But it needs to be somebody in your organization that can talk to your staff, that can actually help them with any of their day-to-day tasks, and also getting them to be more friendly with that or learn how to use that AI, because it can be something that's really overwhelming because there's so much when it comes to how to use it or what you can do with it. And since it's changing so fast, that can also be overwhelming. So it's really good to appoint somebody to do that. Next, you want to make sure that it's problem first. So you want to solve things. You don't want to just start getting tools because, hey, it's cool because this tool does this or that. What you want to do is start solving business problems. Next, you want to make sure that you're getting and you're caching all the large documents and all the information or guides or documentation within your organization. Because if you're doing that, you can actually use it really. You need to start caching it in order for you to use it effectively going forward when it comes to applying agentic AI or even just simply ChatGPT or Gemini. When it comes to experimenting, constantly experiment. There are so many tools out there that we should all be using. And if you want, you can always put these on a private server or put it on your company server so that you can have it protected for privacy. One thing that I do, if I'm going to use something that's probably from the company or organization, let's say I have a spreadsheet, I strip all the contact information out of it, and I may just put in just the numbers and put those in the rows or something that I wanted to look at and help me give me insights or strategize with it. By taking all the contact information out of it, now I just have the numbers, and that's something I can use, but it protects that data because nobody knows what that data is for. Only I am the one that knows that data and what that column is. And then standardize your prompts. And I already talked to you about how to do that. You can build an asset of prompts and maybe share those with your organization. Here's some things that we want to sort of steer away from. You want to make sure that when it comes to shadowing AI, and that means that some people using their personal accounts, you want them to be using your corporate accounts in doing this because it's not really best practices to be using your personal accounts. Everyone has their personal accounts. They use them at home, but it's better if you're going to be using it that we're all sharing a corporate account. One thing that I did with my team in the marketing department when we first started working, we all used one account, and we did that. And then we moved to a Teams account where everybody had their own account in my department. But that also keeps us all sharing. By sharing one account, it also allowed us to not only monitor, but it also allowed us to build a knowledge base with how we were using AI, and not only to help us, but going forward, how we were developing the tools we were building in AI. Don't over automate your brand voice. Very important. If you go too far, then when it comes to your brand voice, you're probably going to see some degradation there. Always, I always don't trust. You always have to verify all your data. It's really important to do that. And then don't buy some of the AI wrappers that are around there. There's thousands of tools that are out there today, and you'll find, hey, there's a tool for everything, and it makes it so easy for you to do it. But you can just use the regular AI chatbots to do most of the work that you need, and you don't need these other wrappers that they are out there that people are selling. And then don't treat IT as the sole owner. I have taken the dossiers and the information that I put in here, and I take the information that I'm doing, and then I share it with the other LLMs because I want them to make sure that they are up to speed with everything that I'm doing, and I want them to have and look at how what I'm developing, and maybe they have the other AIs have a different perspective. And you also don't want to be the only use IT as the only business process or the way that you do things. This is a telling quote here, and that is that AI is a business process. It's not an IT ticket. I talked a little bit about this. You always want to make sure that you're asking one of the things that our president of our organization at AIS did, Gary, what he does is when anybody comes in and brings a problem into his office, he starts by asking them the question, "Did you ask ChatGPT?" That gets people starting to work and use AI more and more. And then by teaching and having the training on how to build prompts correctly, et cetera, if you're doing this regularly, then you're going to get a bunch of people that are become smarter in your organization and are going to work smarter and also help your brand and help your business be much more efficient. You should be, you can either looking at scale or you can buy. Like here, I can tell you what we're doing here at AIS. I'm starting to build agents now for all the people in my department in marketing. We're going to build we built a content agent. We're going to build a social media agent, video agent. We're also building an SEO agent. All those agents that we're going to be building, we're going to use them first, and then we're going to sell them. Now, as a business leader, you could be looking at and saying, "Hey, do I want to build or buy?" I'm looking at it because I think it's something that if we're using it and it's really a good tool, and I'm going to make it until it works, I'm going to tweak it until it makes it work really strong. Then I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to offer it to our clients at a really discounted rate because I think everyone should be using it. Finally, looking ahead in 2026, here's some of the things that that's going to happen is we're going to see a bunch of agents flooding the marketplace if we haven't already done so. I see them all the time. We see people that are making money of it. There's things like the A2A protocol that's coming. Agents are going to be able to talk to agents and they're not going to be able to need human interaction. That's already a protocol that's been developed by Google with a bunch of enterprise Fortune 500 companies, and it's already coming. We've got, they're going to be improving the memory. We're also seeing personal intelligence. That's something that Google came out with, and that's something that we're all going to have to sort of deal with because we also use Gmail and we allow them to be able to look at all of our email, even though we use it as Gmail constantly. But now they're taking it and they're saying, "Hey, why don't you let AI look at everything that you've done?" So they're going to allow it now to look at all Gmail, your calendar, any of your posts that you're doing into their chatbots, and they're going to be able to help you more and more. But you have to give it that access. So are you going to do that? Maybe, maybe not. Then Elon Musk came out. Well, he's got the code name is called Macro Hard, and the reason they call it Macro Hard is the opposite of Microsoft. But basically what this tool is, it's actually looking and watching everything that you do on a task on your desktop. And what they're going to do is they're going to give you agents that are like humans and doing all those tasks right on your screen, and they're going to sell that to you. So although we're seeing agents being built today that are doing it, he's going to be selling agents that are actually using the PCs like a human would be using a PC today. Then we got robots coming this year. So this is the year of the robots. That's going to be, we're going to see it in business, and we're also going to see it as consumers, but we'll also see it in the corporate world. I've just got a couple more slides here. And I wanted to show you how I use things. So on the left side here, you see an agent that I'd be working on and I'm building, okay? It's something I put in a product requirements document. I build out what the agent looks like. I'm working with it and I'm saying, "Hey, this may not be working right." And then what I do is I just do a screen capture and I tell Claude, "Hey, Claude, I've been working with this agent. I'm having a problem. It's broken down here. Can you tell by looking at it what changes I need to make?" And Claude comes back. And again, I'm not a coder. It just tells me what I need to fix in it in order to fix that node or that or the code or the output. And it will just tell me how to do that. I can have it, if it's too technical for me, I say, "Break it down for me step by step," and it will do that. And I have sessions with it going on and on of how it actually helps me build agents. So I don't have to be this coder, or I don't have to be somebody that had the knowledge base in order to write code any longer, because it can just be done. Same thing goes when you're talking about writing code or programming. Same exact thing. Before, when you had an error, you had to figure out how to write it. Now you just tell Claude and say, hey, this is the error I'm getting. What do I need to do here in the code? If you're using something like anti-gravity, which is new from Google, you can just do it and you can just tell it what to do and it'll write all the code for you. All right. Last thing is, and this is what I've been talking about, and that is the future is agentic AI. It's going to be coming at us so fast this year, and it's going to be in our businesses. We have to decide how we're going to utilize it because, again, if you're not using and building agents in your organization, your competition is. And so I'd love to partner with any of you that want to talk more about this or how to do this or build out a strategy for your organization. My information is right here. You can always email me. You can use my LinkedIn and reach out to me. And also to get to my LinkedIn, there's a QR code. And with that, we've got about 5 minutes now for any questions that have come up. And Cliff, if you've got any of those questions, I know I've thrown a lot of data out there, and typically my webinars are I just sort of throw up all the information out there. So if you have any questions, be glad to answer them here. And if you have a different question, please feel free to email me.
Yes, Kevin. So I think just to start this off, can you remind everybody what they can expect to come through their email after the presentation?
Absolutely. I'm going to follow up since we've got emails of everybody that's registered. I'll be following up with you. I'm going to send you a bunch of agents that we've created in ChatGPT that we use. I'm going to send you what's called Prompt Master, and that's I talked about earlier. And I'll send you a link to it. It's free to use. All these are going to be free to use. And then an image architect, something that helps you create images. And I update these regularly whenever the LLMs change. I'll also show you the meeting organizer that I have, where I take transcripts, drop it in, and it creates a meeting organizer. So I'll probably be sending you about 4 or 5 gems or GPTs that you can be actively using, and I'll give you directions on how to use it so you can be doing it. And then I'll probably be providing you maybe a few people that you should be following, some links to some of the top mentors that I follow when it comes to AI.
What ways are you implementing old-fashioned IT projects like CRM or ERP systems different from implementing an AI initiative?
I don't know that we're implementing them differently. I'd say that what we're doing is we're actually taking AI tools and putting those AI features into our CRM that we're using currently, but we still have to keep an eye on where we're going in the future in order to do that. So we know that CRMs we're going to be using AI, whether it's voice or whether it's gathering data, and we're going to be putting it into these databases or vector databases of information. But today, I'd say we're actually taking AI and saying, like, the dossier for prospecting or for any business that we want to do business with. I hate to say this word and everybody uses it, but it does change the game when it comes to providing information and for your salespeople, because if they had a dossier on who the company is without having to go research it online, and then how your products align to them, and then also looks at where their current news is, maybe they're acquiring a company and how your products could align and how they could actually use this to their advantage when it comes to communicating, whether it's an email or a LinkedIn post or also a voice script for a phone call. These are things that you could be using in AI right now, but you're going to need to train the sales staff on how to do it. So you need to train your staff whenever you have any of these tools for them to build it. One other really important thing is I've told my staff, and this is something we have to be thinking about to teach our staff, is I grew up knowing that I'm going to manage people. And I'm teaching my staff that they're going to be managing machines in the future. And when I say that, they're not going to be managing people. Their primary goal is going to be to manage the agent, to make sure that to keep it up and running so it's working for the organization. And their secondary goal is to make sure that they keep it updated so it has the latest and greatest information or features in it So it becomes something that's something efficiently we can use in our organization. Any other questions?
Uh, yes, another one. You mentioned it, but how far away are we from leaving the SaaS-based apps for AI as the operating systems? I.e., instead of operating Salesforce or opening Salesforce, we simply ask our personal LLM.
Good question. I would say we are probably about a year or 2 years away from this, but it's going to be happening fast. It's really hard to determine how quick these things are happening, but we're at a point right now that if you're using a voice activated AI interface, I have discussions with AI on a regular basis right now. And it's going to be a matter of how we log this information into a vector database, and then how we use that data coming out of it. And it's just going to be a matter of how we're going to apply technology to do that. So I'd say it's probably closer to a year, but it's going to be in that year to 2 year range. Well, listen, I want to thank everyone for attending this webinar. I will probably be doing updates on this for businesses on a quarterly basis. So look for that in either my LinkedIn or by email. And I want to thank everybody for attending.